Hello, everyone, and welcome to yet another super episode of Digital Success Dialogue. Today, we have Shreya Mukherjee, who is a champion and a very experienced senior business consultant at INT, specializing in the BFSI sector. And she will be joined in conversation with Mr. Kanak Jain, speaker, author, financial consultant, and the list goes on. They will be discussing a very interesting topic today: gamification in FinTech, the journey from tedious to exciting. Over to you, Shreya. But before we begin, here is a small video introducing our esteemed speaker.
Thank you, Ishani, for the lovely introduction. And hello, Mr. Chan. It was a pleasure meeting you today. Welcome to our yet another exciting series of DSD. Today, of course, we are going to discuss about a very interesting topic: gamification in fintech. That sounds quite interesting because the fintech, BFSI are the sector that's dominated by traditional orthodox way of doing or learning finance. But there's an interesting way of learning finance, that is through gamification, through interaction, and through a more understanding way that could actually improve financial literacy, which is the need of the hour. Before delving into our discussion today, like to take a moment to give a brief introduction about Mr. Jain and his illustrious career. He is a volatility coach, international speaker, trainer, and author, in addition to being a certified financial planner. Beside his own immediate field of expertise as the founder of a very successful SSL Academy and Volatility Games, Kanak is the author and creator of a game on personal finance called the Volatility Game: Play and Grow Rich. Second best-selling book authored is Behave Your Finance, based on Vikram and Betaal Stories. SSL Academy certifies financial advisor, investors, and students with practical training on the capital market. Kanak is an enchanting and energetic speaker and has conducted many inspirational and motivational skills development and finance oriented training sessions for many reputational organizations and institutions. He has been working as a wealth planner for years, but beyond financial planning, imparting financial literacy to the people is what he is passionate about. Training for him is a passion and a way of life. To put it in his word, my mission in life is to ensure the growth of at least one human being every day through financial planning, engaging games, and training. He's a voracious reader himself, a strong proponent of arhatic yoga and listening to energy filled music. He's a lover of nature, arts, and sports people. He has conducted many sessions, and today he has taken some valuable time of his to discuss about one of very interesting subject called gamification in fintech. When I was going through your profile, sir, I came across a volatility game which was pretty interesting to me, because so far I have gone through different financial application. I'm quite a tech savvy person and is very prone to using many applications and all of that. That takes care of my finances and give me some knowledge about how to manage my own wealth. And who does not want to grow rich, right? So I would like to know more about the volatility game on personal finance and how it works. What was your thought behind developing it?
Okay, thank you, Shreya, for inviting me, and it is really a pleasure. I really look forward. The idea, see, I was with PricewaterhouseCoopers, that was like 21 years back. And then for last 21 years, I am into finance sector and working in finance sector, dealing with investors and mutual fund companies and financial advisors. The idea is like no, this is full of figures and formulas and things like that. No, maybe no, for a lot of people who are not from finance background, or even for people who are in finance background, no, sometimes it becomes a little tough. So the and that way, no, in 2014, I will say I created this first game called the Volatility game. And this game, once I created, I started conducting this in a form of a workshop. Okay. Because no, I used to think that when you attend a program, if any speaker is there or maybe a fund manager is coming, no, after a certain point of time, you just looking at the numbers and numbers and numbers, it becomes a little boring. So even though people want to understand, they want to know about everything because it's their own money which they will have to manage, but it becomes difficult. So the idea was to let's make it interesting. So that was the reason I created this game. Obviously, in 2014 and what it is today, it has undergone few changes. And after this game, I conducted this program, hundreds of programs at different cities, locations for various bankers, mutual fund companies, investor groups. And in 2016, I wrote my first book, which was published by Times Group, and that became a bestseller called Volatility Game. So that was the idea because I thought there is a need to create something, and it just happened. I am not a technology guy at all. So as far as technology is concerned, I take help maybe from people like your company, or there are various other people whom I take help, so that no, whatever is there in my mind that can be created. So in that way, currently we have created 18 such products, 18 such games, and the 19th will be launched on the 19th of this month. So
All
that's
right,
how
all
the
right. So each of the game caters to each of the different instrument in the capital market and how to capitalize on those instruments.
yes, the idea is to make things simple. So that no, like my elder son, he just passed out his class 12. So even he can understand, or maybe no, even I'll not say very young boys and girls will be able to understand, but again, still it becomes very easy for everyone. So like the second game which is there, which is again related to debt market only. There are people who are investing into government bonds or maybe into money markets or maybe mutual funds, liquid funds, and all. But when to invest in what? See, the idea is you have returns in all asset classes, whether it is equity, whether it is debt, whether it is gold, or whether it is real estate. But the issue is we invest in a particular instrument and then it comes down. And then we think, no,
Right.
it's bad, and you take it out. So the idea through this game, you understand when the market is cheap so that you can invest it. And when the market is expensive, you actually come out and just do nothing. So this is the whole idea. And when it is done in a form of a game, there are like a lot of teamwork which is happening, a lot of discussions. So most of them are like workshop based games. So people do interact. I think I have conducted more than 300 programs only for investors group,
Oh,
and
wow.
over 300 programs, 250 programs for financial advisors, experts, distributors, and things like that. So that's how the whole game works. It's again a workshop based games, and all of them are like that. Some of them are like even fundamental analysis based games. There are a lot of stocks in equity market. In National Stock Exchange, we have 1572 stocks. Now, you will not buy all the stocks, and neither all the stocks will do well. Now, based on fundamental, which company should do better in the coming days? Obviously, a company which is making profit, which is having good earning every year, which is having a good cash flow. So how to identify maybe 15, 20 stocks out of all this? So there is a structure which is created in a simple format. We have created tools also. People can go through that, understand, and then take out certain stocks. So that way it becomes easy like that. So similarly, other games are also there. Maybe all different varieties of game on different subject.
Right. You mentioned that when you were taking these sessions, you realized that after a point of time, imparting this financial literacy or how to manage your personal finance among the aspirant, investors or students or people, it gets a little overwhelming when it's always related to numbers, spreadsheets, formulas, and all of that. And you thought that it would be a good idea to introduce gamification, so to enhance the audience engagement in these sessions. But why do you feel there is a need for gamification in general in the fintech industry?
See, there is a requirement to manage the finance for each and every person, whether it is anyone, whether it is a person who's driving an auto rickshaw to maybe the wealthiest of the person on this earth. So there is a requirement. This is something which is basic. Somebody will invest, let's say, 1,000 rupee per month, or somebody can invest maybe a crore rupee per month. So that's absolutely something wherein people need to do that. That's the basic requirement. Now, but you need to understand that. Okay, if you see the number of experts or advisors are also not many, and again because no there is a fee element, not everyone will be able to reach out and pay a fees and then hire a consultant. So even if you are doing that, you need to know something. So the idea is, as long as people or maybe even the intermediaries, they are aware and they know things, I think it will be good for everyone. It is not only good for the investor, it is also good for the nation. Because at the end of the day, when a person, let's say a Shreya, if you are earning and if you are saving, obviously your passive income is going up. When your passive income will go up, your overall income will go up. Which means when one person's income goes up, automatically if you see a group of people also their income goes up, so overall that is impacting the whole nation. So as a nation everybody's income is going up. So that's actually the utmost requirement for any country or any individual to do it in that way. So there is a need and that has to be done. The second point is, see, when you are talking about numbers, if you are in a workshop or something like that, and if somebody is talking, so we have these two hemispheres, huh? Left and the right. I think this is something a psychologist will talk about this. But when you are talking only about the number, this logical sides get activated. Okay. And this कहते हैं ना बेचारा right side that gets absolutely in a sleeping mode. Okay, so what happens, either you have a headache or you just feel just boring and not interested at all. So the idea is the best of the best communicators also, when you are communicating to somebody, when you are actually trying to talk something or give food to both sides of your hemisphere, I think it works well. Same goes with when you are talking about technology or about finance. So games or maybe art or maybe songs or maybe some certain things like that, that actually helps or gives food to your right side. So what happens when you are doing the learning part, which is logical, which is numbers, along with something wherein you are engaged, involved, and fun is there. So it's balanced and the receptivity becomes very high. The learning is more and you can retain things much more. So that was the whole idea.
That's brilliant, actually. Uh, so I'm sure with your experience as a wealth planner for years, you now have decided to devote yourself in imparting financial literacy to people. Why do you think finance, and especially for personal finance management, still remains a difficult thing to achieve for general public? Not even general, even I think for most of the people in this country.
I'll again share some data over here, but these data are really interesting. Do you know what is the percentage of India's population that is invested into equity? We have 130 crore people. it is less than 2%. 98% of the people have not even invested into equity. And now let me give you another figure. If let's say 100 rupee is saved out of whatever savings done all across India into the small savings, let's say you are saving, I am saving, everyone is saving. Out of that, 55 rupee is going into fixed deposits. Okay, and then there is a PPF and then LIC and then NSC, which I think covers almost 95%. So now
Mm.
there is only 5% of the small savings which probably comes into mutual funds. Okay, that also has gone up in the recent few years. And if you compare the same thing with USA, where 75% of the money is invested through mutual funds. I think going
Mm.
to equity or buying a particular stock, whether HDFC will do good or maybe ITC will do good or SBI will, we just don't know which will do when good. So it's good that you leave everything on a fund manager and maybe you are buying a bunch of stocks, maybe 20, 30 stocks. So let's say even if you are buying, investing 1000 rupee in a mutual fund, you are actually getting 20, 30 stocks. So there is a balance which is created.
Facing the
Yes,
risk,
for
right?
people who can study well, understand well, they can actually invest into equity. But for normally people, they should start with mutual fund first and then move into equity after a certain point of time. So that is the reason I think there is a huge requirement, huge need, and I think this is something which will be growing, and with more and more youngsters coming. Well, there is one more reason why I think that there is a need. In Calcutta Sector 5 or in any other part of the country, in any of the city where you have this no youngsters just going for a job or working, what everyone is doing, it's like they are earning something, and by the end of the month everything is gone. Okay, and then there is a credit card due, the lifestyle is going up. The first thing which everybody wants to own is probably a good car, and then maybe there is a credit card bill which is there, and it becomes a vicious cycle. So the idea is, even though our great grandfathers, they used to tell us, no, first keep something for your future or something like that. But still, that never used to happen. So I think this is one requirement which is very important, that each and every investor or each and every youngster is educated. And again, to educate these youngsters, you need to have games, fun, and make it in a little light way, so that, and it has to be fintech. So then slowly and gradually we really need to come and reach out to these people, and that can be done through this.
Absolutely, absolutely. What I feel is nowadays the lifestyle, the kind of lifestyle that is being led by a lot of youngsters does not promote the idea of savings at an early age. And by the time they start saving, they already lose, say, 5 or 6 years of the golden period where they could have, even if a little penny of contribution would have accumulated to a larger yield. So I believe that people does not realize at till a certain age, people doesn't realize the power of compounding here, the and how well the money multiply itself and can turn into something sizable by the time they actually realize that I should start saving it. uh,
Yeah.
all right. Having said that, I have seen that the fintech has designed all sort of apps now to encourage average people to save money at higher rate. I have been using at least 4 to 5 apps myself. Then you mentioned that people who has elementary knowledge of the market should start with mutual funds. There have been app which is imparting, financial literacy in mutual funds, which stock, which kind of funds to be invested in, all of that. Everything is going in place. What is your take on going into the future? Will there be a budding fintech ideas that could be influenced by the idea of gamification?
Uh, See, gamification is, it's only a beginning. Again, I will say it's not that it's the end. Okay, it's just to create that interest and you learn and understand things easily. Okay, finally, the serious stuff is serious stuff. You just cannot avoid it. Okay, so obviously we have also created an app, no, where people can come, they can create their own financial plans, and no, they can just play with the numbers. at this age, if I retire, I have to, let's say, if a 20-year-old person, if he thinks of planning, probably he will have to invest 500 rupees per month to get 1 crore at his retirement. Okay, and if the same person, if he's at 30 and then he starts, probably that 500 becomes 5,000, and if he starts at 40, that same amount becomes 10,000. So the late you make, the amount becomes bigger and bigger. So he can just juggle and play around and just identify that. And then there we have also created certain tools where you can just understand, like there are more than 1100 mutual fund schemes. Okay, out of that, let's say you have to identify two to three based on fundamental, which is good. You have to identify one or two stocks. So these tools actually helps you to understand and actually create your plan, create the investment thing, so that you can do that. But again, even if you are using a fintech or a app, it is good to have an expert, okay, or maybe somebody who is there in your life, okay, if available at a reasonable rate and something like that. So it makes life very, very easy, because no, otherwise, no, in fintech, no, sometimes you are thinking to invest in something, it goes somewhere else or something like that. And again, having an idea, or maybe no, even if you have invested, there is a review at least once in a year. If you are doing a review or doing an asset allocation, I think that makes a lot of difference. Okay, in my book also I have shared that why review is very, very important. Certain sectors before corona, before this pandemic, which were actually doing well, are not doing well right now. So currently, certain sectors which is actually doing well, nobody thought that they will be doing well, like pharma and IT and maybe finance. This is like the most emerging sectors right now. And the strategy, the way of working, the way of making money is also becoming different. And
Right.
this happens almost every 3 to 4 years. So it is very good to just have a review and have a person, something, no, maybe once in a while to have a talk with him. It's good. You have a family doctor, you can have a elder in your house, no, to just consult. So similarly, you should have a financial expert in your life also, like that, or maybe, and again, creating wills and so many other things, no, is required. So I think it's very, very important that way.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember I was, investing a lot in mutual funds, and 25th of March, the stock exchange stopped for 15 minutes. And, since I don't have much knowledge, I have elementary, I won't say elementary, substantial knowledge. I myself was scared, and I was, investing in stocks and everything as per how the market would react, not the forecasted value. I believe that, even if different games and applications are used, they have a lot of point of parity in terms of the functionality, that you enter the amount of money you want to save, and then it gives a trend analysis with a projectile graph, and it kind of show you how much money you will accumulate in this point of time. It would be nice to have something which kind of forecast a risk or give some notification, because of course there's some algorithm always running in the back end. It's great for people like me to know what's going to happen, rather than me reading 4 or 5 sources of truth and anticipating what will happen. Because I believe, if I with substantial financial knowledge, if I am finding it a bit challenging, it's definitely a bit challenging topic for general public.
Yes, yes,
Um,
absolutely.
yes. I have seen this gamification is about primarily about customer centricity. Do you think is it just about customer centricity?
See, this games, or whether it is a workshop, this is again all created for customers, so that they get an overall idea. Like you were talking about predicting something. Predicting is something which is just not possible. But yes, there are clues, okay, and I think that is the way a lot of people are investing, and not a lot of people, some of the people are investing. So there is a game which I have created called technical analysis game. Okay, in that game, there are a lot of charts and a lot of figures which is used. So you actually know whether just before pandemic also it starts showing signals. Maybe even before the World Trade center crash, which was in 2001. No, before that also there is a signal. Because at the
Exactly.
back of the mind, there are some people who are doing a lot of trading and a lot of things. So volumes and all, everything gets inbuilt. So you just don't know what is the reason why things will go bad or very good, but certain things actually shows. Or same thing is
Right.
in the fundamental analysis thing. If certain thing, if a company like is having a continuous cash flow, even in this pandemic also they are making money and they are
Right.
having cash flow. They are paying salaries to their employees. There is no layoff. This company is good, and one should remain invested into a company like this. You cannot just think that it's not a good company. So the idea is when we are looking at all these things, after that also plus minus things can happen, but at least you should be relaxed that even if maybe that it is a temporary thing, you are in a good place, you
Right.
are somewhere. It is very very important if you undergo all these programs or maybe know through this certain things. So
Right. Absolutely. And how do you think this game mechanics that primarily is devised to engage people are actually being mapped to someone's desired business or functional outcome?
see, games. I've also created some certification programs with National Stock Exchange. Okay, maybe there is a video which you can show. It is about where like 9 games together. I have created a program where about equity, debt, and then about fundamental, about technical, about no options, about identifying equities, and then no maybe about vision. Okay, that is not about equity market, but about how to create a vision and then work and how to communicate. So far we have been doing these programs only with the financial experts who are in this field, who are into wealth management. But recently we have started doing the program with the students also. We are doing it with commerce and maybe non-finance students also, because uh, the students, if they understand and if they learn and if they can start it early, okay, number one, they will have extra certification with them, okay, with National Stock Exchange, so that no, they have done this. And the more than that, the learning will be there. They can actually open one demat account or maybe start doing something from at the age of when they are in their 20s or early 20s. If somebody is doing, I think that can be a phenomenal thing, and that can really really add a
Absolutely.
lot. So same thing is not only for investors but for students or maybe people who are in non-finance. So that can be done. So usually when we are, this is one part which is the certification part, and the other is what we are doing it with various corporates. Uh, there are multiple number of corporates who are like 1,000, 1,500 employees. What we do is we do programs for them so that no, they are engaged, they understand the whole thing, and then there is a team, there are people, there are trainers all across India. Maybe one on one a financial plan is done. So that's the reason I told you it's good to have an expert in your life, because no, that helps you to make things easy. Then actually the decision is
Right.
yours. You want to start with a 5,000 rupees savings or 500 rupees saving or maybe 5 lakh rupees saving. So that's up to you. But again, it becomes easy, convenient, and your conviction level is little high. So whether it is for corporates or whether it is for students, whether it is a certification program, it really helps if somebody is going through programs like this and all. And I think but if that video can be shared, no, I think little idea will be there. It's only a 40-second video. You can just share that.
Yes, yes. I think that would be great. Shani, can we pull up the video? Because it will give the students and other professional about the usability of a certification, not only to enhance their resume, but in terms of their overall, professional and personal finance management.
So these are like no 2 hours line days workshop. Uh, During this pandemic only, we have certified over 1,500 people in last few months who are like all across India, and they are now certified and they are doing it. So every month we have batches, no, where you know live within a group of whether it is students or people or investors, no, they can get into groups. So there are like teams, people debate and then they learn. So after this workshop based games and this program, no, then there are tools which they can actually use. And the understanding of the tool is there, and from there they can actually identify like this is the stock or this is the mutual fund, and at least they can help their own family members or people around them. So this is again like your awareness level just goes up, even if you were never interested in something like this. But because it is done in such a way, it's like gamified and it becomes interesting. At least this whole knowledge comes there. So finance is something which even if you are not managing or doing anything, but still you should know. I think that is very very important.
Absolutely. And not only for individuals, I feel for startups as well. And there are a lot of financial wellness startups that are coming up. What do you think about how are these startups using gamification as their core fundamental? I know a couple of you, but I would like to know your take on this.
See, gamification is something which I'm not sure anyone is doing at this point of time. There are a lot of tools which has created. There are n number of people who have created tools.
Right.
Through those tools, just create and. But again, gamification. When it comes to gamification, they think that only a quiz is like a game. You have just created a quiz. You are asking some questions, and then there is an answer. It's like that. And again, gamification is also people think that if you invest that way. So it is not about gamification in fintech is not about just creating a quiz out of it. It has to be a practical scenario. On 9/11
Right.
2001, if that was the situation, what you would have done, and maybe 6 months later, what you would have done. Today is the situation, what you will be doing based on fundamentals in one game, based on technicals, or based on whatever the reasons be, whatever the varieties of games you understand. Like when we talk about insurance coverage for a life, but you know,
Right.
a portfolio can also be insured. How you can do that? A lot of people think that the options and derivative market is very, very risky and it is something which is beyond anybody's imagination. But if you have awareness, okay, and if you can use it to your favor, actually, you know, if you have a portfolio, you can actually hedge that
To
also
your
in a
advantage.
sense. You need not sell or you need not buy or you need not increase or decrease your portfolio. Let it be as it is. But on the other side, if that can be used, so the idea is if you have a little knowledge and if you have your all your accounts and all everything open, so as and when required, at a very nominal cost, also you can actually do these things if you are aware of, and if you think that yes, this is something which is going to happen. So this can be a revolution. Not only I've also created the first game, volatility game for Australian markets also, which we launched in the year 2018. I just was there in a few different
Wow.
cities and that. But again, then for quite some time after this corona and all, the focus is more on India. The same game, same methodology, we can actually create the game for all the other international markets also, because fundamentally everything remains same in all the stock exchange. You
Right.
have a stock, you have a dividend yield, you have a PE ratio, you have a market capitalization, so you have all similar things. And to be very precise, all markets move in a similar pattern. It's not that Indian markets will move in a different way and the other markets will move. If at a certain level it has to fall, it has to fall, and if at a certain level it has to go up. So the
Right.
uh, the flow returns actually is in the same way. There is no difference. Other than, yes, there are fundamentally
Right.
different things, but mostly it remains same.
Exactly. Exactly. I'm completely aligned. the fundamental always remains the same. The ratios, the way you analyze a particular portfolio, the way you hedge your risk, the core crux of it remains the same. Maybe it has a flavor of localization. There's more different regulation, laws, and governance in place. But if you understand the basic, it's kind of like a mathematical problem. If you know the basic mathematics core in terms of your if your basics of probability and everything is clear, you do great in derivatives and calculus and all of that. It's basically the
Yes.
same idea. What do you think about? We understand that the whole concept of gamification is good in terms of customer engage, in terms of imparting financial literacy, but but thinking from a service provider side, how do you think this gamification ideas will impart better customer insight for them,
Okay. See, as an
or maybe
organization,
help identify
or maybe help in, yeah.
identifying potential customers?
Okay. See, we have created two segments for this. One, our ideal customers are all the financial experts and mutual fund companies. Okay, so these are the people whom we conduct these programs, and not only that, we also give license to financial experts so that they can conduct this program for their investors. So this is one part which is actually taken care of. Because see, since I created this and then the book was launched, a lot of people told me that how about you? We also do the same event, same programs, and use the same tools. So then I started with the concept of licensing experts so that no, they can actually conduct this program. And this way we have over 170 experts spread all across the country in different cities, and they are doing this program. Let's say we got a contract from a company called, let's say, Titan, or maybe any company, or maybe a Sony. So these are the companies. So now, if a company wants that they want to conduct a program and then look for the advice for their employees. So now this same program is conducted by all of them, and they are
Right.
situated all across the country. And after that, no, the same way, same strategy, same style, the planning and the rest of the things are also done. So no, a person who will not understand Bengali, or rather who will understand only Tamil. So we have somebody who can actually do the coaching part in Tamil, and somebody in Marathi, and somebody in any other vernacular language. So that actually works. Rest things are becoming very easy. So the onboarding is not easy because no, people are
Uh,
unable to know and understand how it will look, because this is not a product. This is not a phone or maybe a pen wherein you can see and just buy it. This is something, no,
right.
maybe 20, 30 years, what is required and how much is required, and then finally uh, that how you will get. Okay, and what is the expectations. I know there is so it's like a something which is there. It's like a dream, and dream has to be, you have to put a date to that, and so that a goal is created, and then you start working on that goal with a small step. So I think it is very
Hmm.
important to have an expert or a coach in one's life. Maybe even if you are doing it for a small amount. Okay, maybe you can just, if you, let's say, if you have a little issue, maybe a eye problem or a hand or something like that. One is you are doing it yourself. Even if you have to pay maybe a few $100, it's good to just know so that no things go better. And this is about your whole life. So this helps whether, and for investors also, if they can actually take out time or maybe a weekend thing and all, if they can do this programs or certification programs or at least this modules. Okay, because various organizations we are doing that as an investor education program also through these games. So there are so many, over 20 corporates all across India. Our team is doing that, and we will be happy to conduct this program with any organization so that no, at least that awareness is there. Things will become easy. Then they can actually
Right.
identify an expert or maybe do it on their own or whatever way. That's the second thing. But at least you will be aware, and this will make things easy to some extent for sure.
Wow. Yes, absolutely. Um, I have a little different question. It has nothing to do with finance, but innovation in general. Do you think innovation under recession or times are easier or difficult than in better times or in other times, say normal times?
You're bang on. It's not only a very good question. I think this is very very opt. I think all the great companies, no, they were all born in recession. That's I think something which is a known fact. And I will tell you about this particular RVCC certification. This was there in 2019. I started that in February. And in one full year, I traveled to Delhi, Mumbai, Calcutta, and all the cities. We organized workshops. People actually came, and we were able to certify almost 96 people, okay, in one year. And this year, pandemic, we have done it for 1,500 plus people. So can you imagine the reach has actually gone up? The receptivity, people willing to learn actually has gone up. The number of programs, I used to travel a lot. Almost every week, I was out conducting some program or some games in some or other part of the country. How many programs you can do? Maybe maximum 50 in a year. But
Right.
that also, if you are traveling 50, 55 in different cities. But see, this has actually, but it is like, it is four times more what was done as far as I'm concerned. We have reached out to various corporate people in extreme parts like Northeast or maybe in Tamil Nadu or maybe in Kerala, some places where you cannot just go in Srinagar, you just cannot do a program. And I think because of the technology, because of these online activities, people can, whether it is Zoom or all these platforms, it becomes
Right.
so easy. And let me tell you one more thing. We used to go for a half an hour meeting to Mumbai to sit with a fund manager or something like that. Now a meeting means Zoom, or maybe meeting means it's a digital thing. So things have
Exactly.
changed, and I think they need to continue. So we all, it's like a blessing in disguise. Yes, a lot of people are struggling, but I think lots and lots of learning. People have become receptive. People have learned a lot. People have got to come together. The learning curve has just gone up like anything, and reach, and things have become economical also. There is no carbon emission. Huh? There is no hotel booking, no food, no traveling, no petrol, no. But neither I am going, neither nobody is going, and everybody is just doing. And all those people who are really serious, they have learned a lot, and things have actually reached to the people as it should have.
Right, absolutely. Though I should not be very happy about the misery of the hotel industry, but yes, it has been a blessing in disguise for the educational institute, especially for the working professional or students who normally used to be tangled in their, daily commute and the other activities that they have now productively using to, hone up their skill set or increasing the whole learning curve or evolving upskilling primarily. Um, I would like to say one thing. Who could have thought Vikram and Betal could be used to teach someone finance, to teach someone how to behave someone finance? I would really like to know more about your book now. The Behavior Finance is one of the book authored by Mr. Jain, and it's actually revolving around the story of our childhood memory, Phil, Vikram, and Betal. So, sir, I'd really like to know a bit more about it.
Okay. There is. Will you show a video of related to that?
Absolutely,
Is there?
absolutely. We can do that. Do you want us to see the video now?
Yeah, maybe it's
All
only
right,
30
Ishani,
seconds.
could you play the video? That would be great.
It's already there. So Yes, this is again also a lockdown effect. Huh? This book was thought, written, and published, all done during this last few 6 months. So everything happened in those last 6 months. Even each and every sketch. See, the idea was again no enjoying with kids. Okay, so whether it is Vikram Betaal or Panchatantra or stories like that with my younger son, so that was there, and from there I thought like it is our age-old wisdom which is there, and if this can be from, but each and every lesson and each and every story, there is a finance lesson to that. So then I did a little more research, and then research that became really addictive, and that continued. And then I realized that King Vikramaditya, during his era, this Vikram Samvat, which we call like the Hindu calendar, that is actually
Right,
based on Vikramaditya's era. And that was the time India was considered as a golden bird, Sone ki chidiya. We all know that.
right.
And that happened because that was the time India was the most prosperous nation. If you see the GDP percentage, India actually controlled 60% of the world's GDP, which is somewhat
Mm,
4% or 3% now. Okay. So
right,
it's a huge thing. Almost 40% of the global GDP was actually controlled by India. And the India was spread, Bharat was spread all across. So I think when India was so prosperous, there must be certain things. Okay, so this is only a part. Okay, and there is a story of Vikram Betal wherein Betal narrates 25 stories in one night to Vikramaditya, and we have seen Ramanand Sagar's serials and all, no, wherein "Tu nahi manne wala" and all those "मैं तेरा सर फोड़ दूंगा" and
ah,
things like that. And he narrates 25 stories. So this book is about 25 stories, and one lesson at the end, which is about little technical things. So each and every story, what he is telling, there is an answer by Vikramaditya, which is the life lesson. Okay, which is again valid as on date also. It was quite valid at that point of time, and it is. If we do inner reflection, we will see that yes, that is valid today also. And then the third part which I have created is the financial behavioral finance lesson. We all say that I behaved in such a way because the market was down, there was a pandemic, so I redeemed everything. But I think if we understand the behavioral aspect of wealth, God is Lakshmi or the God of wealth, okay, I think things will become easy for us. And this is all actually coming from each and every story. So each and every story, I'll recommend. This is available on Amazon, Flipkart, everywhere, and it's priced at 300 bucks only. So if you all get an opportunity, just have a read. And I'm doing a lot of sessions for various corporates on this book also, along with asset allocation game. Okay, so asset
right,
allocation, you need not have a knowledge about fundamentals, technicals, or certain things like that. You just understand a story and then just do an asset allocation. With this simple strategy, also, people can actually create the wealth. And I think that is the idea of coming up with a book. And if you see the cover page of the book, cover page is like, no, there is a heart and then there is a crown on that. Okay, which signifies that people with a big or a large heart, okay, are entitled for a crown, which means they will become
right.
king if you have a bigger heart. So this is again a little more. I can see some questions in the chat box.
Yes.
Maybe I can how this programs can be used for onboarding customers for financial products and all. Yes, once you play these games, which I have been doing extensively for investors and various corporates, we are doing it for quite a number of organizations in last few months, especially. Uh, it becomes very very easy. So once you have played, actually things becomes easy. You start thinking, you become a little serious. Nahi, mujhe bhi karna hai, mujhe karna chahiye, I should do a little bit more, something like that. That seriousness comes. And if somebody has just even started maybe for 1,000 bug also, if you are just keeping it aside, we all know you should pay yourself first. But again, we all love ourselves the most, but still we are not paying ourselves first. Okay.
Right.
Earlier, we used to think that no, maybe our child will take care of our retirement and things like that. But now, no, you will have to take care of yourselves, and that is very, very important. So this is there. So I think across Indian masses, what impact can a gamification do about financial literacy? Yes, through games, things will become easy. They will become easily accessible, and it will become simple to understand. Certain terminologies, no, which you think that becomes a hurdle for a person to understand. Like let's say mutual fund. A lot of people have a myth. No, it is about stock market, and it is for some different type of people, and it is not for everyone. But I think mutual fund is the most simple product. If somebody
Right.
has to beat inflation, even if you are putting into a equity fund or a debt fund or a balance fund, okay, and if you really want to have a reasonable return, but the only thing is you have to have that discipline and you need to do it continuously for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, based on your goal, you will generate a return and you will be able to reach your goal even in the worst of the funds also. If you have invested, yes, if you have an expert, he will ensure that at least you are in the better funds. So that is important, so that way people can actually do.
Sure. Mr. Chan, can you recommend some books, podcasts, or learning material that could help us, to be more interested or know more about this particular subject or in general? Something that you really like to recommend.
See, there are a lot of there is a lot which is there on internet right now. But again, if you become very very specific, I think it is good enough. So there are a lot of content which is again we have also created on our YouTube channel and all related to Vikram Betaal and stuff. Maybe this can become easy. There are apps, a number of apps. Maybe after this session, I'll just post some of the links so that you can just have a download. You can just maybe apps. You can just have. You can make your own little. Use those tools and actually you can play around and things can become very very easy. But it is not the newspapers, for sure. Okay, and not the CNBCs for sure. It
Right.
is not about that. Uh, Reading, and if I tell you, read Benjamin Graham's or maybe Warren Buffett's, all this thousand pages books and all, that also makes people little think. I think I read a book 20 years back, and still I'll recommend everyone. That's again Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. Is a book that's amazing for a person who really think that he should start, and why he should start, and why he should invest in his own self. I think that's the book one should read. And the next book, again written by Robert Kiyosaki, is Cash Flow Quadrant. That's also again I'll highly recommend, because let's say even if you are in a job, and but again you can create a passive income. Okay, so all of us, like there is a right quadrant and the left quadrant. So right is like an employee or a self-employed person. As long as you are there, you will keep on getting a salary or a paycheck. After you, or even if you are not working, if you are sick or a pandemic like this happens, you cannot do anything, but you have the right side intact, wherein if you are an investor or you have created an entity which is actually working for you. Okay, so this book actually talks about creating a robot for yourself or creating like a clone for yourself. All of us like to multiply, huh? We want to have a clone or something like that, but what are we doing? It's again a little pain for a few years. Once you have done that, no, you will start having a feel that you are creating a clone, and after a
Right.
certain point of time, when that clone grows, that will start creating generating income for you. So it is all about the self discipline, and that's something which can really really be done using tools, fintech. That's absolutely fine for everyone.
Absolutely, Mr. Chan. I couldn't agree more. Of course, I remember it took me more than 4 months to complete the Intelligent Investors. It was a very little overwhelming book, but the book you mentioned, Rich Dad Poor Dad, and there's one more called Think and Grow Rich. These kind of books are really quick read, and they're really to the point. They're written in a very simple language, which will at least garner your interest in that particular subject. And then from where you are taking it from there, it's completely up to the individuals. So thank you so much. This session has been really interesting and insightful for me, because I personally have a lot of interest in this particular area. I'm always exploring, looking out for new option, and I'm sure everyone in the audience have the similar feeling. So thank you so much for taking out your precious time and sharing such a nice, insightful videos, books, and other opinions about the whole fintech industry, how gamification is revolving it, how innovation is a key driver in the time when it's raining, basically. It was really fascinating. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for inviting me. It is a pleasure, and I pray and I hope that each and every person who is watching or who will watch, to them they have a prosperous, abundant, and a life full of a lot of happiness and lot of wealth. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Have a nice day. Bye bye.